Hey, welcome everyone to the Wrestleview Impact Hard to Kill live post show. And it was a well worth Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill pay-per-view. And right out of the gate, let's talk about Ring of Honor. The Kingdom showed up tonight. Matt Taven, Maria Kanellis, Mike Bennett, PCO, and Vincent came out after the Hardcore War match and took out all the baby faces, and the place went bonkers. And backstage, when Scott D'Amore was trying to get be interviewed, he said he didn't know what was going on. He was going to call Baltimore to figure out what was going on. So it looks like we have a Ring of Honor invasion in Impact Wrestling, which is exciting because I'm glad that Ring of Honor has a presence, and I kudos to Impact for bringing in Ring of Honor's presence. And Jonathan Gresham defended the Ring of Honor world title under pure RH rules, and he retained over Chris Saban. But let's run down the card. We had the women's X Division champion X Division match, and the winner would get a future title shot at the Knockouts Championship. We had the X Division Championship, Trey Miguel against defending against Steve Matchlin, Josh Alexander against Jonah, the Hardcore War, and then we had Moose against W. Morrissey and Matt Cardona for the triple threat, and then of course Mickey James and Deonna Purrazzo for it was the Knockouts Championship under the Texas Death Match rules. And Tasha Steelz ended up winning that X Division match, and so she gets a future shot at whoever the Knockouts champion will be at that time. And so the women worked really hard in that match. It was a good match. But I was hoping for a better outcome. I know you were rooting for Chelsea Green, Gabby, to win that, but she came up short, and Tasha Steelz ended up winning. What happened was, as both women were on the top of the cable, Chelsea Green had that X. The chain that held the X got wrapped around Tasha Steelz's arm. Tasha fell, hit the mat, and she had the X around her arm, so thus she wins that match and goes on to get a future title shot. So, Gabby, your thoughts on that match?
They tore the house down in that match. I gotta say, there were some pretty close calls in the very beginning of that match where I thought, because they were getting so close to the X Division, I thought, oh, this match is going to be so quick. But no, the women worked so hard. They tore the house down tonight, and hard to kill.
Yeah, it was a decent match. It was sold out at the Bomb Factory, and it was the first night Tom Phillips, former WWE announcer, can't use Phillips, so he's under his real name of Tom Hannafin. He was with D'Lo Brown calling the action. Tom did a good job calling the action. He was very knowledgeable of Impact, and it was like he'd been there all along. So kudos to Tom for that. And D'Lo Brown was good on the color commentary. The crowd was hot all night long at the Bomb Factory in Texas. They were on fire. It was good to see a sold-out crowd with Impact, and they put on a good show tonight. Definitely impressed me as well, because it's been a year since I've seen an Impact pay-per-view. It was this time last year. I recapped the Hard to Kill 2020 when Kenny Omega was the Impact World Champion, and he was defending that title this time last year. But there was nobody in attendance at that time because they had no fans allowed due to COVID restrictions. And speaking of that, tonight we were supposed to have the Inspiration, Jessica McKay and Cassie Lee, defending the Impact Tag Team Knockouts Championships against Tennille Dashwood and Madison Rayne. However, that did not transpire tonight because it was we reported on it at Wrestleview just yesterday that both ladies, Inspiration, were exposed to COVID-19, so they could not appear at the pay-per-view tonight. And it looks like on the 27th of January, at a special event in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, they will be defending the titles against Tennille Dashwood and Madison Rayne. So I assume that will be on Impact Plus and the Impact YouTube Insiders premium channel. So again, Tasha Steelz, X Division winner tonight for the first ever women's X Division match. Future shot at whoever the champion will be whenever that happens. So we move on to the X Division Championship, and Trey Miguel defended against Steve Macklin. I heard D'Lo Brown pronounce it Macklin, while Tom Hannafin pronounced it Matchlin. So we have two different last name pronunciations for him. Trey Miguel retained. That was a great match. Both men worked hard. The action spilled out all over the place. It was very physical. There was a lot of physicality in that match. Kudos to both men. Worked really hard, and so it was really good. I didn't expect a title change because Steve just doesn't seem like the X Division type to me. But because X Division is no limits, it doesn't matter what weight you're at. But it was a good match. So, Gabby, your thoughts on that X Division championship match? And I don't know if Quentin Walters, by the way, is still in the chat or not, but he put first comment, so he might still be in the chat room. But anyway, Gabby, your thoughts on Trey Miguel retaining over Steve Macklin or Matchlin tonight?
In my opinion, every match I saw tonight, everybody tore the house down.
Yeah, they definitely worked hard. Did you like?
It was a very well-handed match. They worked really hard to make the show awesome, and it was unpredictable, which was great. And that's what wrestling should be. It should be unpredictable for everything. But it was a really good match.
I agree. There was a lot of near falls, and it kept me on my toes. I know it kept you on your toes, and you're right. That's what wrestling's been missing. Are the near falls where you think someone's going to win, and you don't expect them to win, but hey, they might win, and we saw that in that X Division Championship match tonight. So it was good, and the crowd was hot. They were chanting. This is awesome, and the holy yes constantly tonight, not only with the women's X Division match, not only with the X Division Championship match, but with all the matches tonight. They were doing that. And so it was a good, definitely a good match. So I got to open up my phone to my own recap because I need to have that ready to reference a few things as well tonight, possibly, more than likely. So there we go. Okay. All right. So that X Division match, that was Jordan Grace versus Rosemary versus Chelsea Green versus Tasha Steelz versus Lady Frost versus Alicia Edwards, just for reference. And then, it was good. So, again, Trey Miguel retains. And then we saw Jonathan Gresham, who's the Ring of Honor world champion, defend against Chris Saban, who's a former Ring of Honor star as well. And Ian Riccaboni, who's been the Ring of Honor play-by-play announcer, joined Tom Hannafin and D'Lo Brown at ringside to help call the action. And the Ring of Honor World Championship match was done under the ROH Pure rules, which was very interesting to see. I hadn't seen that in a long time. And Bobby Cruz came out and did the ring entrances, which was great to see Bobby Cruz do that. Both men shook hands. It was a really good match. It was very technical, and both men worked really hard in that match to get that going. And it looks like Gabby's having to step out, I think, for a moment. I know she has some other things she has to do here in about 10 minutes or so. So she's going to have to step out and excuse herself, but she'll be back. So it'll just be me by myself talking for a moment. And when Gabby gets back, I'll definitely want to get her thoughts on the Chris Saban, Jonathan Gresham match. Yeah, there she goes. She's got some stuff she again has to do, so she'll be back very shortly. Won't take her long. So we'll certainly get her thoughts. I know you can hear me. Gabby, save your thoughts on the Jonathan Gresham and Chris Saban match. I know that you were tuned into that one. You liked it as well. So definitely we'll have your thoughts on that. So Jonathan Gresham is the ROH champion. Again, he defended against Chris Saban. It was a very technical match under ROH rules or pure rules. Both men did a really good job. I didn't expect the title change. I don't see Chris Saban as an ROH champion. I don't see him really as any type of world champion material. Not that he's a bad wrestler, but he's just not championship material in my opinion. But both men worked hard. The crowd was into it. There was a moment in the match where the ref counted to 3 on Jonathan Gresham. So Saban had Gresham pinned. The ref counts to 3. Then he looks down and Gresham's foot is under the rope. And so he has the match continue. The crowd boos at that point. Doesn't really like that call. It was kind of goofy booking a bit, in my opinion. But be that as it may, the match continues. The crowd gets back into the match again. Both men work hard, and then Gresham ends up retaining over Chris Saban in that match. Now the next match was Josh Alexander versus Jonah, which is he goes by the Top Dog Jonah. For those that may not know, Jonah was formerly in NXT as Bronson Reed and held the North American Championship for a brief time. Jonah's a big guy. It was said that he's 345 pounds. He's a big guy. Moves well in the ring for a big guy. This match had a lot of physicality. There was a lot of physicality in this match. Both Alexander and Jonah worked really hard. There was a lot of near falls, a lot of action spilling outside of the ring. It was definitely a huge physical match. Alexander bled. He was busted open, and they spilled into the stage area. They were on the floor, outside the ring. They even went into the fans. They actually spilled out into the fans, and that was great. There was a time where Jonah was on the outside. Alexander on the top rope jumped out, hit Jonah on the over the barrier, over the steel ring barrier into the crowd. They had the fans scatter. They separated, moved out. Both men were fighting outside the ring really hard and took it back into the ring. I expected Alexander to go over. The fans seem to be behind Josh Alexander. They really like him. I liked him when he was a heel with Ethan Page as the North, but of course Ethan Page is in AEW, working with Scorpio Sky under a mid-card stupid gimmick, in my opinion. But anyway, Alexander worked hard. Again, the fans were behind him. Hopefully one day Impact will book him as their champion. He at Bound for Glory, he had the championship for that brief moment of time, and then they did this cash-in thing, like Money in the Bank, sort of the same thing, kind of concept. And then Moose ends up winning the title at Bound for Glory. I thought it was stupid. I was hoping that they would have Alexander in the title hunt, but maybe one day they'll do that. I don't know. Pardon my throat. I was cheering with my daughter tonight, so my throat's a little dry, which is why I got the water. So the next match, one of these matches had to go long tonight because of the women, the Knockouts tag team titles not being defended tonight. So again, your winner is Josh Alexander, and that was by submission. He had Jonah tap out. So the next match after that was crazy. It was the Hardcore War match. It was 10-man match. And so it was Violent by Design, Eric Young, Joe Doring, and Diener versus the Good Brothers. Or not versus. It was a Violent by Design, Eric Young, Joe Doring, and Diener with the Good Brothers, who's Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows, versus Eddie Edwards, Rich Swan, Willie Mack, Heath Miller, he used to be Heath Slater in WWE, and Rhino. And that match was all over the place. It was hard to keep up. There was a lot of blood, a lot of crazy stuff. There was flagpoles involved, chairs involved. There was barbed wire involved. There was a door, an actual door involved where it got busted in half when I believe it was Diener that went through that. I got to look at my own recap. I believe it was Diener that went through that that door, got busted in half. It was between two tables. It was just crazy. And so there was trash can lids involved. There was pipes involved. There was one point where Eddie Edwards broke his kendo stick as he was smacking the heels so hard with it. He goes on the outside of the ring, and he ends up grabbing another kendo stick, and he lights it on fire. And the crowd goes crazy. And then he smacks Carl Anderson in the back with the kendo stick, and then he gets gored by Rhino, and then there's your pin 1, 2, 3, and the fans were into it. The fans were crazy. The This Is Awesome chants, the Holy S chants, the Dallas fans were nuts. I mean, they were into this match. It was crazy. They were on their feet. Impact did a really good job tonight of actually keeping the crowd engaged. Nobody was sitting on their hands. It wasn't quiet in that building. That building was loud all night. Impact did a really, really good job tonight of having nonstop action, going by, of course, the old moniker TNA, Total Nonstop Action. That fit tonight for them. They were definitely great. And then after the match was over, two guys hit the ring, hoods on. Hannafin and D'Lo Brown are like, who's this? And then it's revealed as Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. They hit the ring. They took out the faces. As they continue to take out the faces who are trying to fight back, which is Edward, Swan, Heath, Rhino. All of a sudden, here comes PCO. And PCO comes out, and he is crazy. He comes out. He's taking out the faces along with Bennett and Taven, and then you've got Edwards on the floor, and then PCO goes on the top rope, does this moonsault on Edwards onto the floor, which is absolutely crazy. The crowd goes bonkers. And then Vincent comes out. So you got Vincent coming out, and he's taking out everybody. And it's just crazy. And then they all continue the beat down of the faces. And all of a sudden, here comes Marie Kanellis. And the crowd goes absolutely wild. Hello, Janelle Jackson. Thanks for joining us tonight. The crowd goes bonkers where Maria Kanellis comes out, and then they're chanting, "Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back," because Maria Kanellis and Mike Bennett were actually in Ring of Honor for a year. And so there's been some rumors about them already signing with Impact, but we'll see. So it looks like we have a Ring of Honor invasion going on. And then that's when I mentioned at the top of the broadcast here that Scott D'Amore's backstage. They tried to get a interview with him, and he doesn't know what's going on. I'm going to call Baltimore to find out what's going on. And then Taven picks up one of the Impact tag titles and says, "We're going to get these real soon." So hinting that it looks like Taven and Bennett are going to go after the Impact World titles, which is going to be interesting because the Good Brothers are heels, and it looks like Taven and Bennett are heels. So is this heel versus heel in the future, or are we seeing maybe a babyface turn with the Good Brothers, which stink as baby faces and they're overrated in my opinion anyway, but we'll see. So it's going to be very interesting. I say kudos again to Impact for keeping Ring of Honor alive, having Ring of Honor involved in tonight's pay-per-view, because it's certainly going to get more eyeballs on the Impact product, because Access TV isn't in many homes. It's one of those premium channels that you have to subscribe to on your cable or satellite package, which is silly to me that it's an upper tier network, and it shouldn't be, in my opinion, because Impact is averaging about 96,000 to 116,000 viewers a week, which is crazy. They're no longer on Twitch. You have to either pay $4.99 a month for the YouTube insiders to watch Impact's weekly show, starting 30 minutes after it starts airing on Access, or pay 99 cents. Yeah, 99 cents to watch it on demand. It's just silly. Impact does things backwards, in my opinion. But be that as it may, kudos to them for having Ring of Honor talent, or what may be a Ring of Honor talent involved, because I know contracts are up with Ring of Honor while they're on this hiatus. I really want them to come back. I really want to see them come back in April. And maybe we can have an Impact Ring of Honor back and forth invasion on Ring of Honor TV, and maybe on Impact TV shows on television. It would be great, in my opinion. They can do a lot better than AEW did with Impact, because I think Impact and AEW certainly had a lot of potential to have an invasion, and I think they definitely dropped the ball on that. I know that COVID was an issue, so there's probably concerns with that, but they had limited talent. And I thought even going back to full fans in the arenas for AEW events and even Impact events, they could have done better, extended the partnership on longer, but be that as it may, I'm glad that Impact Wrestling, Anthem Sports and Entertainment is actually doing something with Ring of Honor. So it was great to see that. We move on, and I'll be getting Gabby's thoughts on this when she gets back, because I can hear her. She's working on the other stuff that she's got to work on. So I definitely want to hear her thoughts. And hey, I'm looking at my own recap and have a typo I got to fix later. It's the action in that hardcore war was hard to keep up with. I mean, it was all over the place, and multiple camera shots everywhere. They went from one area to another, and it was just a lot of back and forth. So the Impact World Championship triple threat, Moose defended against Matt Cardona. Of course, we know formerly as Zack Ryder in WWE, and William Morrissey, which of course is formerly Big Cass in WWE. William Morrissey definitely is got his life straight. I know he's had mental issues. You could definitely see he was fit, looking really, really good tonight. Matt Cardona was looking good. Moose was looking good. I didn't expect really a title change, even though they had some near falls. Moose retained tonight. They had 2 ref bumps. So Chelsea, there was an episode of Impact where Chelsea Green got nailed in the head by a chair by Moose. It was a complete accident, and it looked like they were going to do a repeat of that tonight, where Chelsea Green gets in the ring. She ducks out of the way. Moose, of course, misses her. Then he goes for a spear on Matt Cardona. He moves out of the way. He spears Chelsea Green into the ref. The ref goes out. And then you've got William Morrissey that takes out Moose, and then it's like almost like a 10 count. There's no ref in the ring, and I don't know why they booked that. Where you've got William Morrissey, he's covering Moose for the pin, and of course there's no ref in there, and it's just stupid. All promotions have done it. It's stupid booking because it makes the person pinning the other person look stupid. It's like, well, yeah, there's no ref in there because, the ref's out. So it's like, work on taking out the opponent until the ref gets back in. So anyway, you got a ref checking on the other ref. And then that ref comes in. He gets taken out eventually in the match. So I got 2 ref bumps in the match. And then Moose ends up doing his finisher on Matt Cardona after they go back and forth. The ref that was originally bumped out comes in the ring. Very slow count. So you actually think that, and Gabby and I said, Matt's going to kick out because it's a real 1, 2, 3, real slow count. But Moose ended up pinning Cardona and retained. And again, I didn't expect the title change, but part of me thought, well, maybe, I don't know, but I don't think Matt Cardona is really, championship material yet. I mean, he's got potential. And then the last match of the night was Mickie James, Knockouts champion, and she is going into supposed to be going into the Royal Rumble, and they actually mentioned it. Tom Hannafin and D'Lo Brown mentioned it. If Mickie James retains tonight, she's going to be imagine the Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion going into the WWE Royal Rumble as the Knockouts champion. And D'Lo Brown says, I've never heard of a company like WWE allowing another company's champion to go into their Royal Rumble as champion. So, excuse me, it was very interesting. And it was a back and forth match. A lot of good near falls. And there was a lot of violence involved. It was a Texas death match. Looks like Gabby's back. Yep. So Gabby's back. And so hang on, Gabby. I'm talking about the Texas death match, but you know what? I'm going to hold my thoughts on the Texas death match because I want to rewind back in time here now that you're back. And I wanted to get your thoughts on Jonathan Gresham retaining over Chris Saban. I thought it was a very technical match under the pure rules. I said earlier, I didn't think Chris Saban is championship material, but both men worked hard. I had mentioned while you were out that we thought at one point Saban won because the ref counted to 3, but Gresham's foot was under the bottom rope, and then they let the match continue. There was some kind of confusion there. The crowd was kind of booing a little bit. They weren't sure what the heck was going on. Thought it was a goofy, kind of a goofy in the match, but the ref let the match continue, and then the crowd gets back into it. So your thoughts on that ROH match? championship match.
The one thing I didn't like is that they played by ROH rules instead of just playing by wrestling rules.
It's the ROH pure rules, and it's something that ROH did when they first began. Then they phased it out over time. Now they're bringing it back, but they're trying to have that ROH feel with the ROH title, kind of keeping it separate from how they would do things in Impact. So I thought it was a good move, on a good booking on that part of Impact to do that. So that's my thought.
There was a lot of physicality in the match. They were very technical in the ring, which I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, good old school technical.
It was really nice to see them bring that back again into the wrestling ring.
Yeah, it was good technical booking. I like that. You need that every once in a while.
Rather
things
had the opponent win and not have the champion retain.
Oh, you wanted Chris Saban to win it. Yeah, I understand that. It's all right. So then I had talked about Josh Alexander, where Josh Alexander wins by submission. A lot of good near falls, spilled out into the crowd, spilled out onto the stage area. Alexander got busted open. A lot of back and forth. Jonah was mentioned, weighing in at 345 pounds, big guy. Mentioned that, of course, Jonah was formerly Bronson Reed in NXT. Now he's going by the top dog, Jonah. He moves really good in the ring for a big guy. And my voice is thrown out tonight from all the cheering we did. But your thoughts on the Josh? I gave my thoughts on the match. I need to hear your thoughts on Josh Alexander, winning by submission over Jonah.
I was actually pretty happy to see Josh Alexander win. And I thought, well, he won, but maybe Jonah should have won as well.
Yeah, I think Josh Alexander should be. I like him better as a heel when he was with the North. With Ethan Page, as I mentioned. And you might get after me for this one, in a stupid mid-card gimmick with Scorpio Sky and in AEW. I think, I don't like it, but I think Josh Alexander is a heel, better as a heel rather. And I mentioned also that I think that eventually Impact should book him as the world champion, because he's definitely, in my opinion, championship material as well.
Yeah.
Your thoughts? Yeah, you think so?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then I had mentioned what I think is your favorite match of the night, the Hardcore War, where, I'll go back to my recap. Those that are listening, of course, already know, but just for you, Gabby, of course, to recap it for you, of course, it was Violent by Design, Eric Young, Joe Doring, Diener, the Good Brothers versus Eddie Edwards, Rich Swan, Willie Mack, Heath, and Rhino. Saw a lot of barbed wire, a lot of chairs, the door that was placed in between the two chairs. Of course, Diener going through the table, or not, I keep saying table, going through the door breaks in half, and then Rich Swan gets hit in the head with that second half of that door, which was just crazy stuff. And then, of course, there was a lot of blood. The action was all over the place. There was golf clubs involved, pipes involved. It spilled everywhere. And then, of course, Kenny, the kendo stick gets broken. Of course, Eddie Edwards breaks that open or breaks it, and then goes to the outside of the ring, gets a new Kenny, as D'Lo Brown put it, lights it on fire. Crowd goes crazy. Hits Carl Anderson in the back with it, who then Rhino gores Carl Anderson, and then, of course, the 1, the 2, and the 3, and the heels lose. And then I mentioned, as we said at the top of the broadcast here, we get some hooded guys coming into the ring. D'Lo Brown and Tom Hannafin are like, who's this? Then it's revealed to be Mike Bennett, Matt Taven, of course, former Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. And then Vincent, comes in. PCO shows up. They're taking out the baby faces. The crowd's going crazy. Tom Hannafin and D'Lo Brown are going crazy. PCO does that huge dive off the top rope onto the floor onto Edwards. Crazy stuff. Maria Kanellis shows up. The crowd chants, welcome back, of course, because you were asking me why that was. And I'd mentioned that's because Maria Kanellis and Mike Bennett at one point were in Impact Wrestling. And then they go to that camera shot where Matt Taven picks up. He picks up the ROH one of the titles and says, "We'll be getting these soon." And then, of course, they go to the backstage area. The crowd's still going wild and crazy. Backstage area. Scott D'Amore says he's calling Baltimore because he doesn't know what's going on. And of course, Ring of Honor's headquarters are in Baltimore, Maryland. But I was mentioning what I thought was interesting is that looks like you have a future title match with Mike Bennett and Matt Taven going after the Impact World Tag Team Championships. But tonight, what we saw was, the Ring of Honor guys and gal taking out the baby faces. So does that mean that maybe their Good Brothers will do a face turn, and they'll be the baby faces? You're coming into our company, and yada yada yada. Or we're gonna have heel versus heel. I don't know, because I think the Good Brothers, as I mentioned, are overrated anyway. And I thought it was a great invasion, a good surprise. I knew nothing about it, didn't hear anything about it. I was checking other sources today for Impact Hard to Kill news, and I saw nothing about this. So kudos to Impact for keeping it quiet. and I thought this is, and hopefully this will be a really good invasion. That when they'll keep it going, and when Ring of Honor returns in April, I say when because I'm rooting for them to return in April, even though both shows are taped. And I know right before the pandemic hit, the COVID-19 stuff hit, Ring of Honor was supposed to have a live weekly show, I think on their Sinclair stations. And so I know that both shows are taped, but they can still work it. Even though both shows will be taped or are going to be taped, they could still work an invasion for both shows, because both Ring of Honor, of course, they taped TV shows well in advance, because you and I went to a Ring of Honor event where they taped 4 weeks worth of television in 4 hours. and it was a long night, but it was a fun night too as well, because we got to meet Flip Gordon and Jay Lethal, who's now in AEW. Got to talk to some other Ring of Honor talent at the time. But I thought that AEW and Impact dropped the ball on that invasion. I know that they started it when COVID hit, so they couldn't do much. But now that there's fans back in the arenas, I thought that they could have kept the invasion going and could have had back and forth stuff. With more back and forth with AEW and Impact. I thought they dropped the ball, in my opinion. But be that as it may, I hope that tonight was the start of something special with Ring of Honor and Impact. And so, Gabby, I've done enough talking. Your thoughts on Hardcore War and your thoughts on the Kingdom, that looks like PCO's involved now with the Kingdom. So Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, Maria Kanellis, Vincent, and PCO making that invasion tonight, surprise invasion. Your thoughts on the match and Ring of Honor talent surprisingly showing up.
Okay, let's start off with the War Hardcore match. That was my favorite match of all time. My favorite part was the barbed wire. I like barbed wire, and I like tacks, and I like bricks and Lego and tables and ladders and chairs.
and tables on fire, kendo sticks. That's your type of. I know that's your type of match.
My all-time favorite part was when Eddie Edwards took his kendo stick and he lit it on fire and then hit Doc Gallows with it on the back.
It was Carl Anderson, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, it's okay. It was Carl Anderson. I thought it was Doc too, but then I had to look, and then when they did the camera angle better, it was actually Carl Anderson.
And
okay, go ahead.
Kingdom.
Yeah.
Wow. When I saw them, I exploded because because
you've always been a Mike
in so long. I was
because Matt Taven was at that. I'm sorry, Gabby. Because Matt Taven was at that ROH TV taping we went to, and he retained the world title at that time. And I know that you were always a fan of Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis. And then, when they showed up in WWE, you were watching it at the time, and you were happy about that. But I think they did. WWE did a poor job of booking Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis. But go ahead, your thoughts again. Sorry for interrupting.
And then who knows? Maybe the Kingdom will invade AEW and.
That Impact AEW agreement is done, but it would be nice if maybe they had all three promotions in an invasion, but I don't see that happening. It would certainly make things interesting, but in wrestling, never say never, right? But at this point, I just see the Kingdom doing an invasion with Impact until Ring of Honor comes back in April. And then again, hopefully they'll have they'll continue on ROH television, which will be very, very good because of course we have where we're at, we have Sinclair and Sinclair affiliates, so that'd be nice. But yeah, you like the Hardcore War overall? It was your favorite match of the night?
I did. That was my all-time favorite. It kept me on my toes with all the near falls that were happening. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like somebody win, please.
Yep. And so eventually, as I mentioned, that it was Rhino goring Carl Anderson after the kendo stick to the back that was on fire, and there was a lot of "This is awesome" chants, a lot of "Holy yes" chants. And I was mentioning while you were gone, the crowd in Dallas at the Bomb Factory is sold out. They were hot all night. They were on their feet. That building was loud. The crowd wasn't silent at all. They were definitely into it. Kudos to Impact for keeping the crowd into it, keeping them on their feet, keeping them, cheering them on. Nobody was bored at that show. And then I had mentioned my thoughts about the triple threat world title match: Moose, Matt Cardona, and W. Morrissey, of course. As I mentioned, Matt Cardona, formerly Zack Ryder in WWE. W. Morrissey, William Morrissey's his real name, formerly Big Cass in WWE. I didn't expect the title change, but I thought, though, maybe, as I had said when you were out away, that they had those double ref bumps, and where they had that really slow count, 1, 2, 3, that maybe Cardona was going to kick out, and he didn't kick out. Moose ended up pinning him and retained, but that was another all over the place crazy match. And your thoughts on that?
Moose should have lost the title. Matt Cardona should have won because he should get the title because he's a championship material.
He's championship material? While you were out, I said I didn't think Cardona was championship material. I mean, he held he held the Game Changer Wrestling title for a short period of time, but I don't know if he's really Impact World Championship material at this point. So I think Josh Alexander is champion, in my opinion. But
they should have replaced W. Morrissey with somebody else.
Not a W. Morrissey fan. Under the, I mean, I know you liked him under when he was Big Cass, but just not a fan under W. Morrissey. I was saying while you were out, though, that we talked about this earlier this week, you and I were chatting about this, that because I was showing you some YouTube stuff of W. Morrissey to kind of get you reconnected with Impact a little bit, because again, they're off Twitch, and we used to watch it on Twitch, and I'm not paying, for that insiders YouTube stuff that they do. It's silly to me, and it's goofy that Access TV has to be an upper tier channel on a satellite or cable provider, but there is the one streaming service. If you have Sling TV, you can get Access TV on that. But we don't have Sling. We have YouTube TV, and Access isn't on that. Anyway, I thought, W. Morrissey looked good tonight. Looked really physically fit. We talked about how he got help for his issues that he had, personal issues.
He finally got help, though.
Yeah, it's good. Kudos to William Morrissey for getting help. He looks good. Looked good tonight. I'm glad that he's got his life straight, and kudos to Impact for signing him. I hope they can keep him and maybe put an X Division title on him, maybe eventually the world title. I don't really know if they're going to go that route, but because X Division is no limits, no weight, no size limits, he could be the X Division champion if they wanted to book him that way, or maybe he can get himself a tag team partner, not Enzo Amore or Enzo, however he goes by that, and maybe he could be a world tag team champion. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see that. So I thought the double ref bump was kind of goofy, but they were doing it to kind of maybe unpredictability. Chelsea Green got involved, of course. She was on the stage area when Moose was going to slam her new husband, real life husband. They got married during the New Year's Eve weekend there, New Year's Day weekend. And congratulations to Chelsea Green and Matt Cardona on their marriage. Hopefully they stay married. They're a nice couple. So she ended up, coming out and, looking at Moose and giving Moose a certain obscene gesture, and then had a certain, 4-letter word for him, leaped onto Moose off of the stage area. Crowd went crazy on that. And they seemed to like that. And then she was by ringside, and then she got involved again. We thought maybe she was going to get hit in the head by the chair again, but she didn't. And that's where they had that first ref bump when Moose inadvertently speared the ref. And then I mentioned that after 2 ref bumps, eventually Moose retains. Didn't expect the title change, but again, thought maybe it would happen. So the last match of the night, we saw the Texas Death Match, which was Mickie James defending the championship against Deonna Purrazzo. And it was interesting with the Texas Death Match, because you would do a pin, just not a 1, 2, 3, but a 1 pin, 1 count, and then each opponent had 10 seconds to get to their feet. And so then if they didn't get to their feet after the 10 count, then that would be the winner of the match. It was interesting, old school booking. There was a lot of you can't really call it near fall, because maybe near count, I guess. Because there was times where it was a 9 count that Mickie James gets up, 9 count that, Deonna Purrazzo gets up, 8 count, here, 8 count there. There was a lot of tables. There was a table involved, thumbtacks involved. Mickie James got cut open. She got slammed on the thumbtacks. And there was a one point where she was actually going like this, and she pulled the thumbtack. You could see right there. It was in her wrist right there. She had it in her back, and so, yeah, and there was, a lot of physicality in that match. And the former Aiden English, he came out. He goes by his real name, which his name escapes me at the moment, because that's how much I really cared about his character in WWE anyway. He got involved in the match. They got taken out by Mickie James with a guitar shot to the head. So it looks like, it doesn't look like Mickie James is going to go into the WWE Royal Rumble as an entrant in the women's WWE Royal Rumble as the Impact Knockouts champion. It's very interesting to see that WWE is actually going to allow the Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion, Mickie James, to go to the Royal Rumble, Women's Royal Rumble. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Mickie had that Impact championship with her on the WWE pay-per-view, which would be interesting. We were hoping that Deonna Purrazzo would have won. She is the Lucha Libre AAA Women's Champion. But I like Deonna Purrazzo.
Disappointed.
Yeah, I said boo at the end of my recap because Deonna Purrazzo, she's a great technical wrestler. She's a great heel. She's a two-time women's knockouts champion, which is good. She was a great get for Impact. She was in WWE NXT for a short period of time. But I say boo on Impact for not putting the title back on her because I think she should be the Knockouts champion. But I understand how they wanted to do the booking with Mickie James going in as the, Knockouts Women Champion, into the 30 women Battle Royal Rumble match because it's going to put eyeballs on Impact and it's going to put eyeballs on WWE. Both promotions, both companies are going to benefit from it. Impact more than WWE because there's going to be a lot of, news, a lot of stuff leading up to it. Mickie James, Impact Knockouts champion, entrant into the 30 women, Royal Rumble match at St. Louis on January 29th. So hopefully after that, maybe at the next Impact pay-per-view, which they mentioned was going to be April 24th, Rebellion. Maybe they can book Deonna Purrazzo to be the champion because they really want her to be champion. Not that Mickie James is bad or anything. I mean, she's been WWE women's champion. She's got a lot to offer the women, but she does nothing for me as champion. I think Deonna Purrazzo is better in my opinion. So, but that match had a lot of physicality. It was both women worked really hard tonight. Actually, for those on the East Coast watching, I say yesterday because it's it's just after midnight for the East Coasters. But overall, everyone, all the women, all the men, they all worked hard tonight to put on a really good show. Tom Hannafin for his debut as play-by-play announcer did really good. D'Lo Brown did good. So, Gabby, your thoughts on I think on the Mickie James Deonna Purrazzo match? I know you wanted Mickie James to lose that.
I was disappointed when Mickie James retained because I'm like, she's been champion so many times. WWE's put the championship on her so many times, and I'm like, Deonna Purrazzo deserves it because they both tore the house down, but she just deserves it because she's more championship material than Mickie James is, and I'm like, yeah. I know Mickey's kind of. I don't know why Mickey's a champion at this time, but yeah, it is what it is, and hopefully there's still there's money in the chase, they say, but usually that's when you've got a baby face chasing after the heel. But maybe at one point they'll do that because I mean Deonna's better than my opinion. But maybe Deonna Purrazzo and Mickie James will feud and she'll run after the title.
Yeah, I hope they continue the feud, and I hope they can put as I mentioned, that maybe at the Rebellion pay-per-view in April, they'll put the title on Purrazzo, hopefully. So I don't know. But anyway, overall, I thought tonight's pay-per-view Impact did a really good job. Thumbs up for me on it. My favorite match of the night was honestly the Texas Death Match. I liked the way it was, despite the ending of Mickie James retaining. That was my favorite match of the night. I thought both women worked extremely hard, did a good job. My second favorite match of the night was the women's X Division match. Kudos to the women. They worked really hard on that. I was looking forward to the Inspiration and Tennille Dashwood and Madison Rain, but that, of course, couldn't happen tonight due to the COVID exposure of Jessica McKay and Cassie Lee. Favorite moment of the night for me was the surprise invasion of the Ring of Honor talent. Thought that was great. It'll get people talking. And so if you can order the replay and you were hesitating about ordering the show, it's worth the $39.99 in my opinion. I don't say that much about Impact shows because usually their shows are not that great. But the booking committee tonight did a great job on that show, getting that show. And I'm glad it was sold out. Good for Impact. And hopefully they can sell out the television tapings. They're going to be taping TV this week. And hopefully this weekend they'll be taping television for the next, I believe, several weeks. And hopefully they can have some good television shows that are worth watching for those that have access to TV or want to pay the $4.99 a month for the YouTube Insiders or the 99 cents to watch it on demand. So your thoughts, Gabby, overall on tonight's Hard to Kill before we wrap things up?
I was pleasantly surprised because after I stopped watching, it just got really boring and just seemed like their matches were pretty predictable. And after watching Hard to Kill for the first time, watching Impact for a really long time, I was really happy with how they booked everybody in their booking team. I was really happy how all the matches turned out, and it was really unpredictable, but it was a great pay-per-view.
Yep, I thought the same thing as well. So as I mentioned, kudos to the Anthem Sports and Entertainment and the booking committee. Did a good job tonight, keeping those fans entertained and on their feet, and kept us watching it here tonight, or I say that last night for those that are on the East Coast that might be watching. And so, yes, it was good. Thank you for those that joined us tonight. Janelle Jackson, who said hi, and then Quentin Walters, who did first comment. Don't know if he's been watching tonight or not, but those that are watching with us tonight, thank you for joining us. I know Impact doesn't have much viewership, sadly, because they're on a network that isn't on many, of course, they're on a lot of cable stations and satellite providers, but it's that top tier stuff that is goofy. They don't get many viewers, but thanks for joining us tonight. And those that have stayed up past midnight on the East Coast, appreciate it. Those that are not on the East Coast that have been with us for the last almost hour, appreciate it. Thank you so much. And everybody have a good evening. And be sure to join Mike and Victoria Tedesco on Monday night following Raw for the live Raw post show. And then we know that Roy Nemmer is back on the SmackDown live post show following SmackDown, which he'll do next Friday. So be sure to tune in for that. And have a good night, everybody.